Get in, loser. We're going on a big, strange vacation. Big, strange vacation.
Big, strange vacation.
Big strange holiday.
Big strange vacation. Woohoo! Y'all got room for one more? Hello, I'm a little lovely tadpole boy, and I can't wait to go on my big strange vacation with all my friends.
Pack your bags. We're going on a big strange vacation.
Big strange vacation.
Welcome to Bigfoot Collectors Club, Big Strange Vacation. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. Hello, I'm your host, Michael McMillan. With me always is the polyrhythmic paladin,
Riley Bray. The hits keep coming.
I know, this is good. This is a good list we got cooking on the other side. That was submitted by Robert Miller, one of our Club Scouts on BCC, the other side. Hi, Robert.
Good.
Thank you very much for that. A paladin, that's my rank in Baldur's Gate 3. I'm a drow.
But you're more of a polyamorous paladin in that scenario.
He gets around.
Then maybe polyrhythmic too. I don't know.
No, I can't. What is it? He's a pansexual because he
there you
hooks
go.
up with
Pansexual polyrhythmic.
Yeah, all sorts of magical creatures.
Very good.
Welcome back to BCC's Big Strange Vacation. All summer long, we'll be looking at the weirdest, the spookiest, and most mysterious places around the world. And you can get your Big Strange Vacation summer merch by James Mulholland in the BCC merch shop right now. The link to that will be in our show notes and on Instagram at Bigfoot Collectors Club. And we will be hitting the road this summer as well. So come see us at Paracon KC in Kansas City on Friday night, August 1st. Go to the local high school football game, Friday Night Lights, and then come on out and see us at Paracon KC podcast party, where we will be performing the show live with special guest Steve Berg and some other friends. You can find a link to that in the show notes as well, or go to paraconkc.com. I'm just I'm going to burn through these announcements because I want to bring in our guest.
There we go.
This week is the co-host of the most hilarious mega podcast and the new comedy quiz podcast, Like Minds. Club Scouts of all timelines, please welcome back our dear friend and neighbor, Greg Hess.
What's up? Are we still doing that?
Yeah,
that's a polytonal what's up. What's up? What's up?
What's up? You know, honestly, that's the level of like our hack comedy on this show. So yes, you can. That's pretty much the level
if it's hack,
of funny
I'm into
it. Greg, it's so good to have you back. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for thanking.
What's going on with this new show, Like Minds? Tell us all about it.
Hey, we got a new show called Like Minds. It's on Q Code. It's a very fun show. If you like funny people and smart people, it's a comedy quiz show. And it's basically an original trivia quiz that my co-collaborator on this one, Joey Bland, who's a Jeopardy champion and improvised Shakespeare member with me. I produce the show. He writes the show. And every week we get a suggestion, like an improv show, for a quiz, and then he writes it, and then two funny people go head to head, and in the trivia mashup of the century.
Dude, I love it.
So
that sounds really fun.
Yeah, we've been doing it.
Stakes.
Yeah, No, the points are arbitrary. The learning is not arbitrary. It's important, but it's really fun, and we're gonna launch here in mid-June, and we also do a live show. We've had some really fun guests. Helen Hunt did the show. We had
no way.
Yeah, we had Jason Alexander do the show. So it's been a real delight. So if you like trivia, if you like nerdy, funny people, come check it out.
Well, this drops on June 11th. So
I think it's 14th. Oh, God. I think it's 14th, but we'll see.
Okay,
Did I
great.
say 11th?
So,
what did I say?
coming up fast. No, I'm saying you said mid-June. I'm letting everybody.
Oh, okay.
I'm letting you know.
I thought you were letting me know when mine drops. I'm like, great. Michael moved it up by 3 days.
Let me just get into the chat here and pull up your calendar of your life and let you know. Well, that's great. I can't wait to check it out. Greg, we have a new segment on the show this year. We just kicked it off, and I think it's very applicable to Big Strange Vacation. We want to know what Bigfoot's been up to lately. Where has Bigfoot been spotted in 2025? That's right. It's time for another installment of Where in the World is Bigfoot? San Diego? Sad news.
We need some alts on the ending. We need some alts.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We'll work on it. No Bigfoot in San Diego this week. However, this comes from Detroit Channel 4 local news. Group finds father and son credible in Monroe County Bigfoot sighting. An organization has found a father and son who reported seeing a Bigfoot in a marshy area of Monroe County are credible. Credible in quotes. I've read a lot of stories over my nearly 12 years in the local 4 newsroom, but this one is a new one. That's right. It's the first time I've written Bigfoot. Yes, I went back and checked the archive. Okay, this guy's a little too sassy already.
I know.
Apparently, there's a group called the Bigfoot. This guy's like pretending that he doesn't know anything about Bigfoot. He's really
apparently
in this.
Been super into it the whole time. Just waiting. So I don't care, but maybe you idiots do. I don't know.
Yeah. Apparently, there's a group called the Bigfoot Researchers Organization, BFRO for short. The organization claims that to be the only, quote, a lot of heavy quotes in this one again, only scientific research organization exploring the Bigfoot / Sasquatch mystery. Look, I wouldn't say I'm a believer in Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster or any of you. The lady doth protest too much.
Yeah, and I also wouldn't say that I'm the president of this organization, which I'm not. I might be the treasurer, but I'll leave that up to inquiring minds.
But I also haven't explored every corner of the earth, so who am I to say for sure? That's literally the next line.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. So here's basically the report. Let's get away from whoever this sassy local reporter is.
I mean, this might be written by Sasquatch.
It could have been, yes.
A lot of sass in there.
Cover, yes.
Yeah, it's a good cover. So this came from us May 18th in Michigan, Monroe County, on I-75 near La Plaisance Road exit behind the jail.
I love that exit.
There's a Bigfoot escaping prison.
Yeah.
Near the quarry in the back. So I'm reading now from the BFRO's website about this encounter. The 2 witnesses entered and exited this area. Very different tone, by the way. The 2 witnesses entered and exited this area from where Winchester Street terminates at the railroad bed, west side of the railroad, north of Plum Creek. They go into the GPS coordinates in case you want to look those up. And the observer said, this is a quote from the father, "I was bow fishing today with my son around 11:30 a.m. We walked down the creek, past 4 bridges, and headed into the marsh. 100 yards into the marsh, the dog scared up something that was bedded there. Trees were shaking. We thought it was a group of deer. We continued on 20 more yards to the creek basin in the marsh. We sat and enjoyed the wildlife for a little while. We headed back through the cattails." I mean, I do love the poetry that he's laying down here. Yeah, it's
gorgeous.
very nice. It's like
gorgeous.
It's like Walt Whitman. Yeah. We headed back through the cattails and saw a lot of deer beds on the way to the first bridge. We crossed the first bridge and was between that and the second bridge. We heard sirens in the distance. All things that don't matter unless this Bigfoot is
setting the tone.
Yeah, unless this is an escaped prisoner. My son said, "Do you hear those?" I sat down my bow and arrow to get out my cell phone and earbuds. I wanted to listen to the police scanner app on my phone to see what was happening. You know that bow hunter has a police scanner on his app.
Got to. Well, you got to know it when the cops are coming to arrest you for illegally bow hunting.
Mm-hmm, exactly. It's like in Fast and the Furious where they like call out a fake police thing to get all the police off in the other side of town so they can drag race. He's like calling in false police reports so he can just go bow hunting with his son.
he did say bow fishing, right?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, he did say bow
I feel
fishing.
like
I thought it was bow
we glossed
hunting.
over that because I was like,
But
fishing is
bow,
not hardcore
bow fishing
enough.
is bow hunting. You're just firing an arrow into the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just shooting those arrows into the creek.
It's just an interesting detail to the
What
whole
is
thing.
bow fishing? Yes.
Yeah, you. As a card carrying redneck, I can tell you that it is indeed when you shoot a bow and arrow into the water at a fish.
That is awesome.
Yeah. I
All
also
of a
what
sudden-
state was this in?
This is in Michigan, in Monroe County.
I
Michigan.
always love that Michael adds a southern twang. Like you add a southern twang to Kansas and to Michigan, and I got to
Listen.
tell you, yeah, in Michigan they don't talk like that.
I lived in Michigan for 3 years, and you get hicks in
They're
everywhere
hicks,
you go.
but they all say they all flatten their A's, and it's all
Okay, all of a sudden I heard wrestling
Yeah,
in a
there we
tree
go.
to the left and a huge thud hitting the ground from the big tree.
Oh my
A
God.
Oh my God. A big heavy animal hit the ground and crouched and started moving towards me through the brush. My dog fired off from the right of me towards the creature, and the dog almost got to it, but the creature shot off extremely fast through the trees and brush. The dog chased the creature up the slope and over the train tracks. I then called for my dog to come back. My son said, "Holy shit, what was that?" It was as big as a bear, but it looked like a gorilla. We walked back, but we heard something crunching on the ground behind us. We left. There you go.
Commit to
We
it.
left is the end.
The end of the end of his story is we left.
End of account.
God, he
Yep.
went from Walt Whitman to E. Cummings there at the end.
And there's a lot of details from the BFR on this report. Like they want to know, ask many questions what the animal did. I asked enough to discern that it was not a bear. It was a large, dark furred primate that ran up a slope on 2 legs, looking like a gorilla from behind. So let's see what our original sassy reporter named Derek Hutchinson closes it out with. He says the investigator said the encounter lasted less than 10 seconds, so there was no chance to get a picture. There are a lot of cattails around this marsh as well, the investigator wrote. Therefore, two things Bigfoots consume, especially in winter, cattails and deer. There are likely other food sources around this marsh as well. I'm from Monroe County, and our house was surrounded by woods growing up. Who knows? Maybe I had a lot more to worry about than mosquitoes. Landed it with a nice little joke.
There it is. There
There it is. So what do you think, Greg? Bigfoot in Monroe County. They saw a dark-haired gorilla-like creature running up a hill. What do you think?
I mean, the Bigfoot aficionados among you will probably scold me for this, but are we saying that Bigfoots
Bigfoots?
are omnivorous? Has that been definitely deer and cattails are on the menu?
That is, yes, that's part of the canon. In fact, I have heard the cattail thing before.
Okay.
The deer stuff comes up that they will, sometimes people feel like claim that they've come across deer carcasses that it looks like they've been ripped in half and not like clawed up by a bear. And then there's also things called killing nests where people
Sounds
find
like my college dorm room.
littered with deer bones and antlers and skeletons. Yeah,
Yep.
everywhere.
Deer bones and definitely not having any sex. Just studying with my deer bones around.
Killing it on Goldfinger or Gold.
Yeah, definitely.
What was it? Gold?
Oh
It's
my
not
gosh, have you-
Goldfinger.
Goldeneye.
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye,
thank you.
yeah, playing GoldenEye, watching Waiting for Guffman, and definitely lots of hot girls stopping by.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys were like in college. The Killing Nest. Yes, the Killing Nest. I like this. I like this account. My biggest problem with it was that Michael started with it being deep southern Michigan and finally
Fair enough.
ended it with being a proper Michigander. But yes, I dig this account.
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, I'm just excited that we're still getting Bigfoot reports as recently as a couple months ago. They never stop. These things never stop. That's what's so fun about it. Like Mothman, few and far in between. Bigfoot, like a few, definitely. Like, people would probably say dozens a year. We get
And Mothman, if you think about the gestation of a moth creature. In fact, Michael is my neighbor, and if you want to come down the street, there's a monarch being born in our garden right now. And it's been on the text thread among the building. Everyone's like, go look at the monarch. But yeah, it kind of seems like Mothman, probably shorter life cycle. We got Bigfoot. Yeah. We're talking, I bet big, why can't I pluralize it today? I bet big Sasquatches, or that's, I guess, technically different.
Sasquatch.
Yeah. Our cousins is what I'll say. Probably live pretty long, right? We're talking 80 to 100 years.
I like this.
Yeah, you'd think.
I mean, the first one was what, a little over 60 years ago, 62 years ago, the first big California sighting that kicked off the whole rage. So it's possible that one's still running around today.
We can only hope.
We can only hope. All right. Well, we're going to come back. We're going to talk to Greg about his big strange vacation. All right, Greg. Greg?
Yes.
All right.
All right, Greg. It's Big Strange Vacation all summer long here on BCC, and we're asking our guests one question. What's the weirdest, spookiest, or most mysterious place you've ever been? And I'll even throw in like mind-blowing or inspiring. Like, have you ever been to a place that transported you in ways that you did not expect?
I guess I'll say two, and you all can choose which one sounds interesting to you. I mean, I have been to CERN, the Large Hadron Collider.
Let's go. So let's talk about CERN. Number one.
So,
this is a real. This made Riley sit straight up in his chair.
Go on.
Someone talking about particle physics. I went to CERN maybe 10 or 12 years ago, and it's been longer than that. It's probably been 14 years ago, and I don't buy into much of the conspiratorial thinking around CERN, but I will say that when you hang out with a bunch of theoretical physicists, and the cool thing about it was you could kind of just ask them all the crazy questions you've ever wanted to ask about physics and about, the universe. Mm-hmm. They absolutely would entertain everything. You could be like,
amazing,
So like time travel, is that possible? And they'd be like, well, yeah, let's like talk about it. And I was at this bar one night where we were just eating steak with butter and getting drunk, and they were just like scrawling equations on the table and being like, here's how it would work and stuff. And you're like, whoa, some of this stuff's really far out. And everybody was so afraid that CERN was going to like open up a black hole, and I'm sure there's many Reddit threads that you could go down about the dangers of CERN.
Alternate timelines too.
Exactly.
Not just into parallel universes.
I wouldn't be surprised. That one I couldn't get behind because the reality we're living in today seems just so absurd. But so CERN is the first thing that came to mind because it really was CERN is something like a 12-mile loop. It's huge. Wow. It's a 12-mile concrete tube. And you go into it, and I saw the tube where they send the particles around. But then the experiment that I was on was called the Atlas experiment, and we went to the.
Why were you on? Wait, you weren't in the experiment.
No,
just
visiting that experiment.
It's not like they were shooting you through the collider.
They shot particles into my dick for.
They're sending your dick back in time.
Yeah, they sent my dick back in time, and
see if you could father yourself.
Yeah, to the killing nest, and they were like, "Yeah, you weren't having any sex in college." Sorry, the Atlas experiment was the one I visited, and it was like being on the deck of the Starship Enterprise. It's crazy. You can't imagine it. It's bizarre.
What was happening with the Atlas experiment?
You know what? That might need a Google. I don't even really remember.
Fair enough. Let's do a quick Googs.
Let's do a Googs or a DuckDuckGo.
Hey, there you go.
This episode brought to you by DuckDuckGo.
Greg, the thing that's so fascinating about you and your wife is that you every time I stop and chat with you guys, I feel like you have met and talked to and some of the most interesting people in the world. Like, how did you end up going to the Halliburton? Yeah.
How did I go to the Halliburton? How did I get into Halliburton? Well, my father, Dick Cheney.
How did you get into the Halliburton, Dick Cheney?
Well, the way that I got it, so first off, I call my dick Dick Cheney, so I'm
Yeah, I was
glad
gonna
that. Yeah. So when they were sending Dick Cheney back,
You remember
in time,
that experiment they did on your dick?
Yeah.
They
The Atlas,
actually created Dick Cheney, and sent him back in time.
Okay, how did I get to CERN?
Yes.
I took an airplane. No, the way this is how silly improv the places improv will take you.
Wow.
A guy who was running Fermilab in Chicago at the time was an improv fan, and he came to a show, and then he said, "Hey, we're starting an improv group at CERN. Would you come and teach us how to do improv?" And so I went over there for a week and had a bunch of physicists doing improv for their Christmas party show, basically at the end of the year.
What type of premises did they come up with?
I have to tell you, I mean, first off, everybody there, like, English is most of their second language. So they're like improvising in a language that is not their native language. Automatically, I'm like, well, better than I can do. I can't speak shit. The premises were, I mean, basic like improv stuff, but it was really funny. They were such studious students. So I just remember endearingly this one French physicist. I was teaching them about yes and, it's like, so, somebody will say something and you'll accept that thing and then you'll simply build on it with an and. And he was like, okay. And I was like, okay, so let's do a scene in a restaurant. And the person goes like, okay, he comes in and says, could I help you? And the person goes, yeah, I'll take a red wine. And he goes, yes, you will have red wine and you will also have some bread with it. And you're like, yep. That's yes, and yep, you added, and like it was like that level of just like yes, and you will also have, and it was just like whoa, and then they had to perform for not to go too far tangential, but
please,
they had to
this is where we
perform
wanna go.
in an airplane hangar. Talk about the scariest thing on the show today. CERN is massive, and their Christmas party was in an airplane hangar, and they were on a pipe and drape stage in the corner with handheld mics while 4,000 people milled around, and they were like, okay, everyone, we're going to do some improv. And no one was paying attention to them. It was the actor's nightmare of just like,
Yep.
And yeah, they did like an hour improv show for their Christmas party and flew us out there. But in the meantime, we got to see the experiment and the accelerator and the alternate timeline. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say alternate timelines, but I did get to see it, and they did start it. And yeah, and
Fair.
Yeah,
Assumed.
and, yeah. So
I also love like the
secrets.
idea that maybe they're like their scenes just instead of being like comedic just went into like really trying to unpack the nature of reality.
Yeah.
And
That's what
Totally.
the improv was for.
Well, and a lot of times they were really blue, and that, which is funny to me because I think they like don't want to talk about physics in their improv. They just kind of wanted to try to be funny. But yeah, it was really endearing. And so that was the first one that came to mind, CERN. And it, if you ever get a chance to go there, it's a cool place. Did we find out what Atlas experiment is?
I did, yes. It was the goal was to study the fundamental constituents of matter.
Yep.
And the forces that govern their interactions, and to search for evidence of physics beyond the standard model.
Cool.
So they were focusing on the
Unlocking
fundamental
the secrets of the universe.
Yeah, it sounds
building
like total
blocks of
government
matter,
cover-up.
basically. Yeah, and the forces that govern the universe. I mean, they're looking for Atlas experiment. They're looking for God. That's basically what they're doing.
Oh, actually, it wasn't long after that. I think Atlas was the one that discovered the Higgs particle.
Boson.
I think.
That's cool.
Somebody listening is like, no, it was the other one.
Yeah,
They're going to be mad. Like,
Oh, they're already mad that I said there are dozens of Bigfoot sightings when there's like hundreds of Bigfoot sightings. It's okay. We'll get the whale. We'll take the whale actuallys for you. No, that's no problem. What was the other weird or fascinating place you ever traveled to?
I grew up in Virginia in the Shenandoah Valley, and I would say that if we're talking creep factor, when you grow up in Virginia, which is where the more battles in the Civil War were fought than any other place, I just forget that, like, I grew up at, like, there's just Civil War battlefields everywhere. Mm-hmm. And, we'd go there on field trips, and my Boy Scout troop would camp on Civil War battlegrounds. And
Crazy.
When I started thinking about that, I was like, whoa, this is really kind of strange to be here at, Haymarket or whatever, where, about 5,000 people probably died right about here. You know, it's just very, very surreal. So I would say that was the other one that came to mind where I was, the Civil War battlefield tour of my childhood was constant every summer.
Did you hear ghost stories of Civil War figures and all that?
Oh, yeah. Huge ghost stories. And everything was, you know, everything was named after a Civil War. Well, in where I'm from, everything was named after a Confederate. And so it kind of didn't even register until I was an adult that was like, oh yeah, I was in the Stonewall Jackson Boy Scout Council. I went to Camp AP Hill. I went to Robert E. Lee High School. My high school's rival was Robert E. Lee High School. And you're just like, oh, these are just a bunch of old Southern generals. And then you're like, oh yeah, it's kind of messed up. But
I went to Count Dooku Elementary.
Seriously. And so, yeah, you know, we did have a lot of ghost stories. The one that I remember, well, and actually this is a Gettysburg one, so not even a Virginia battle, but there's a famous Gettysburg one of like going into this hotel in Gettysburg, and the elevator will open on a floor, and it will look like a Civil War hospital, and people have had the doors open and seen a Civil War operating room, and then the doors close or something. But kind of interesting.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and yeah, but I've had friends have spooky vibes for sure on those Civil War battlefields.
Yeah, I was wondering if when you were camping there, if you kids ever like scared yourselves with,
I'm sure we
Civil
did,
War ghost stories, or thought you heard something walking through the trees.
I was probably more scared because my my tent mate for the summer that we were at that one wet the bed every night and acted like he didn't. And so and it was just kind of that thing where you had to act cool about it and just be like, yeah, our tent smells like ammonia, but he was...
It's the dew. It's just the dew.
It was, yeah, and he was just like straight up, no, I didn't. And it was like, well, he says he didn't, but I have to live with him. That was pretty scary.
He only had one choice, and it was to deny.
And he was like one of those people who's just like, no, I didn't. And you're like, okay.
Oh, man. Well...
So,
you know, one of the ways that you keep Bigfoot away from your tent is to piss around your tent.
Oh,
you know?
Well, that's why Bigfoot didn't show up at our tent, because it was truly in a bog.
Soaked.
Absolutely soaked from the inside out.
I'm trying to think of places that I went to that were like, wow, this spot really blew my mind. Like, that was really, I think like, when I first saw Yosemite or the Grand Canyon, it was like almost an existential experience, just being like, whoa, what is this place? But I haven't been, I mean, I've been to some fun, you know, I've been to some of the like paranormal hotspots, tourist places, but I did not camp when I was a kid. I have not camped as an adult. I don't want to poop in the woods. So that's not for me. Riley, what's that look for?
You got to poop in the woods at some point in your life. It's
kind of freeing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's so liberating.
Just do it.
No.
yeah, it's good for you.
My friend wanted me to go on a canoe trip, and I found out you had to like carry your poop around in the back of the canoe with you.
Oh,
just the toilet paper. Not
who's
the
this friend? And
yeah, what kind of trip was this?
Yeah, he was like, it's called the poop canoe, and I want you to join me on it.
Cost $800. Yeah.
I would love nature. I want to walk around in it, but I want to like go back to a air conditioned space where I can poop and sleep in comfort.
Yeah.
No piss tents.
I wouldn't. I did used to love camping, but now I do. I love a glamp. I love a glamp where you can have the outdoor sounds, but then go over to the bathroom. That seems relatively civilized.
Yeah, a mattress on a bed frame, but you're in the woods.
On a bed frame.
That's a true luxury.
Dude, the other creepy place I was going to throw in that we went last summer was a Capuchin bone chapel.
Okay.
Ever been to a Capuchin bone chapel?
Bone chapel is what Riley called his dorm room.
The bone chapel.
It was also full of deer bones.
Yeah, he was in theological studies.
Were you?
No.
Oh, damn.
That's what I said.
I almost got excited because I was. Well, not theology, but yeah, I study. Don't worry, everyone. I study religious studies, so all the religions.
That's good.
But yeah, we went last summer because I'm a religious studies major. I had to go see a Capuchin bone chapel, which is, I think, were they Franciscan? I don't know who they were, but in there's like 3,700 bodies of Capuchin friars that are buried in this chapel in Rome, and I mean, you could just throw up a Google on that.
Looking at
It
right now.
looks like the set of the Temple of Doom.
Yeah. It's
Like the
pretty
walls
awesome.
are bones, the altar is made of bones. It's
Oh,
all
hell yeah.
it's all skulls, a skull
There's full
altar.
like skeletons and monk outfits.
yeah,
Whoa,
yeah.
They dress him up?
They dress them up, and then there's really
that is creepy, dude.
intensely cool, missives scrawled on the wall, like "You too shall become bones." It's all very and sort of the monastic. This particular monastic order was very cognizant of mortality, and that as they should have been, because I guess while the living monks were working, they were constructing a bone chapel from their brethren.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Amos
Yeah.
died this weekend. Should we put the femur and use that as the door pull?
We're running a little low on supplies, and we need a new doorknob. So maybe
Yeah.
we can just keep his skull as intact as possible.
I didn't actually. I don't know how they stripped the bones actually, because it is the building material of the inside of these rooms. I mean, it is bones.
I wonder if they. So this reminds me of the Paris catacombs, of course.
Yeah.
Looks a lot like it, except a little more creative, I would say.
Yeah, a little more of a flourish to it.
Yeah, it's got more cosplay happening than the Paris catacombs. Yeah, I'm just wondering if did they just take bodies from like overgrown, or overcrowded cemeteries like they did in Paris, and then just repurpose them for this?
That's a good question. For some reason, I don't think so. Well, the difference between the catacombs to me didn't seem as creepy, because it's like, well, when you die, we're going to put your bones in this thing, in these cubbies or whatever. This kind of had the stank of, when you die, we're going to take your skeleton and build a chair out of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little more metal.
It's definitely more
Play
metal.
with your bones.
Yeah. We're going to drum with these. We're going to have a little. It's like that
style.
old Disney cartoon with the skeletons all swapping bones and
They
drumming.
make puppets of them so they can dance.
Yeah.
They said that the bodies came from. Some people think that they came from 3,700 bodies believed to be the friars buried by the order. The order insists that the display is not meant to be macabre, but a silent reminder of the swift passage of life on earth and of mortality.
Yeah, they throw up that saying a lot. They're just like, you're going to die. You don't have much. I think truly there was one room and it had a little thing on the wall that just said like, your time is up or something like that.
Please recycle.
Yeah.
They also have a painting of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. That's pretty cool. This place sounds awesome.
Nice touch. Yeah.
I like it. Well,
So yeah, CERN Civil War, and Capuchin Bone Temple. That's the
Good answers.
The poo-poo platter of creep vacations.
CERN, very big.
Yeah.
This chapel, strange, and camping, vacation. You nailed
Yeah.
it. All
You
three.
nailed
And
it.
speaking of
Yeah.
poo-poo platters, you should go canoeing sometime, Michael.
That's true. You
okay.
really should.
I don't know about this, guys. All right. We'll be right back with this week's story of High Strangeness. All right, Greg, we're back, but I lied to you. It is not time for High Strangeness just yet. Everyone's going to have to wait just a few more minutes because we have a game. We're not the only podcast that plays a game, Greg. Okay.
Oh, okay. I thought I was the first, but let's
No, we may have beaten you to it. I'm going to run down a list of infamous places, rapid fire style.
Okay.
If you think that place is just an old place with no paranormal activity involved,
Yep.
you're going to say history. But if you think something weird is going on, you're going to say mystery.
Mystery.
Yes,
Yeah,
great
nice.
at this. This is a game that we are calling this summer History
Or mystery.
All right, Greg Hess. Ready, set, Stonehenge.
Mystery.
The Himalayas, home of our buddy, the Yeti.
Mystery.
Roswell.
Mystery.
The Bermuda Triangle.
History.
Easter Island.
History.
The Tower of London.
Mystery?
The Great Pyramid of Giza.
Mystery.
The Nazca Lines.
History.
Loveland, Ohio, home of the Frogman.
Oh, history. Nothing good happens in Ohio.
Loch Ness.
History.
Area 51.
Mystery.
The Island of Dead Dolls.
I think you made that one up. So I'm going to say
Riley's
history.
been there.
Really?
I didn't actually make it out to the island.
Oh, you
I was-
didn't? We
I
just
was-
talked about it?
I was nearby it.
Oh,
and
right.
I read about it.
Okay.
Okay.
I just retconned into my brain that you actually
Yeah, it's-
visited it. It's an island in
better that
Mexico, near Mexico City, where there's just like all of these dolls like hung in trees and scattered about, and it's supposed to be haunted.
Yeah, I think I went on my honeymoon there, actually. Yeah, that's mystery.
Uluru, a.k.a. Ayers Rock.
I would say history.
Jersey's Pine Barrens.
History.
The Pacific Northwest.
Mystery.
Bran Castle, a.k.a. Dracula's Castle.
Mystery.
Devil's Tower.
History.
Los Angeles, 2025.
The Olympics? When are those Olympics? When does
29?
Oh,
28?
thank God. I thought you were going to be like, they're next week. And I was like, I'm getting out of town.
And
ready.
you're running with the torch. Better get up.
Oh my gosh. It's just such an honor. Los Angeles, absolutely packed, jam-filled with history.
I love it. Well done, Greg Hess. Now, you went up on Tower of London. Why were you stuck on the Tower of London?
What did I say for that? History or mystery?
You said mystery.
Oh, right. Because there's so many ghosts and dead people hanging around Tower of London.
Yes, there are. Yeah,
I-
we did a
I-
whole episode on it.
Oh, yeah. Wait, did I do that episode?
No.
God.
Thank God.
Wait, what? Wait, somebody. Oh, you know what? Is it the Beefeaters that protect the Tower of London?
Yep.
You guys have a Beefeater connection.
Come on, let's hear it. This is the time.
Well, I happen to know, again, through improv.
Yep.
Yeah, there. A guy who does improv in London was like, "Oh yeah, my uncle's a beefeater. If you ever want to go do the beefeater tour, we can go, go walk around." And the beefeater thing is rad because it's basically like you live there. You get it's kind of this. It's kind of like you're active. You're not like active military, I guess, but
You're the temple guard. I mean,
You're the
temple.
temple-
Jesus,
yeah,
I'm really
Temple
stuck
of
in Star
Doom
Wars today.
guard.
Yeah. You're the tower guards. You
Yes,
are
yeah.
security for the tower since
and
going
they
back
do have.
hundreds of
I mean,
years.
I don't remember. Great. It was a great podcast guest. He didn't remember specifics, but I do remember him saying like, "Oh yeah, there's creepy vibes around Tower of London for sure." And I was like, "Oh, I want to go do the tour. Maybe when we're back over there, I'll come back and I'll give the Beefeater report."
I bet you'll get some behind the scenes. I mean, when I was a kid, it was a beefeater that told me that he and his wife had seen a ghost multiple times in their living quarters. Like, it's pretty matter of fact around there. They talk about it they see shit all the time.
It's always Anne Boleyn.
Sometimes it's Anne Boleyn, sometimes
Very
it's
busy.
the Lady Jane Grey, sometimes
Oh right, Lady
it's-
Jane Grey.
There's all sorts of like amorphous creatures. Sir Francis Drake is in there, I believe.
Dude, he's a trip.
Tell us more. Did you meet him
At
on improv
parties
too?
or-
Yes. It's a weird story through improv. Oh, dude, that's another good one. That's sorry to go back to a previous segment. Roanoke
please.
Island, Lost Colony. Ever been there?
No, I have not. And, it's on my list of possible things we're going to cover this summer. So did you ever visit it?
Oh, my word. Have I ever visited? I saw Terrence Mann as the lead in the Lost Colony play several times as a youngster.
Oh, my.
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
tell us what you know about Roanoke Island. Maybe I won't have to do it.
Well, what do they, it was the disappeared colonist that predated Plymouth and Jamestown, I guess.
Yeah.
Or right around the same time. And the only thing that they found in their absence as they were swallowed by the undiscovered frontier was what did they write on
Kratoa?
the tree?
Krakatoa?
Krakatoa?
I think it was
Roatan?
Kratoa. Hold on, let's see.
Kratoa, something like that.
We're gonna look.
Yeah, it always gave off creepy vibes to me down there.
Croatoan.
Croatoa.
Yeah.
We kind of got it.
got
Roatan,
close.
Krakatoa.
Croatoa is the X-Men mutant island.
Yes.
Croatoan is the inscription carved onto a tree.
Yep.
When John White returned to Roanoke Island in 1590 and found that everyone had disappeared.
Yeah. Wow. 1590. Okay. Yeah. We're talking early times.
Hell yeah.
Colonies.
That's super spooky. I wonder what happened.
Well,
Maybe we'll look
one of the
into
spooky things too is the play they do every summer there, which is populated with one or two famous actors and then a lot of community theater as well.
What is
And it can be
It's a
terrifying.
fun mix.
Oh, they do this play there that is about the Lost Colony that is a big thing. I mean, it's a huge outdoor set, and it's kind of fun to see. They're firing some muskets. It's a big outdoor production, and yes, the very famous Broadway star Terrence Mann was the lead was William, what's his name, when we did it. So
Wow.
it was cool.
Were you ever in it or you just saw it?
You know who I wasn't in it, but my friend Ross Bryant, who I do perform improvised Shakespeare with, started his acting career as a high school student as a Lost Colony.
I would have been
fellow.
so jealous of
this.
those guys. I'd be like, they're in a Lost Colony play.
I know it is cool. It is cool. And now
I'm just sitting here trying to play Albert Peterson and Bye Bye Birdie, and these guys are firing muskets out in the
I know
woods.
too. I have a
Terrence
feeling
Mann.
that's a play too that they were probably playing fast and loose with the Union rules because,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking cannons. It was lit. It was kind of Pirates of the Caribbean vibes.
I also feel like
Good.
there might have been a lot of opportunity for cultural appropriation in that with actors
Michael.
playing
Not in
roles
19
that maybe they shouldn't play.
Not in the 1990s, where half the cast surely should have been Native American. I'm sure they did everything right.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I should never question the Lost Colony. They've been through enough. All right, we're taking a break. When we come back, we are actually going to get into this week's story of High Strangeness. Bear
Sick.
with us, and we'll be right back. I actually just got back from my first road trip of the summer. Literally was up in Fresno, California, came back down, got out of the car, brought in my bags, and sat down to podcast. So
That's how dedicated you
this
are.
is
You're living the lifestyle.
fresh off the lifestyle of being on the road, guys.
You got sun on the road.
I did. I'm worried. Did you guys see the picture? There's a picture going around lately of a lifelong trucker, and who never wore sunscreen.
Yes.
And they showed he looked like Two-Face. Like one
Yes.
half of his face aged really crazily because of the exposure to the sun while driving, and the other half looked like literally 2 decades younger. It's the best argument for, if this is a real picture, it's the best. It is the best argument for sunscreen that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that is an incredible photo. And it also, respect. It kind of shows like, you committed to a trade, and that, and that show, it's like if you're a potter and you have one hand that's just like encrusted in clay. You have one clay.
Always
you have one clay hand.
It's glazed.
You have one. If you're a glass blower, you have one cheek that's blown out.
Yeah. And you can see through it, you know?
Yeah, I respect it.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm fresh off a road trip, everybody. So let's go on a new trip. Our second destination in Big Strange Vacation. Now, when we think of strange places, Greg, the legendary Bermuda Triangle often comes to mind. This mysterious expanse of the Atlantic Ocean is bordered by the southeastern seaboard of the U.S., Bermuda, and the Greater Antilles Islands of Puerto Rico. Nicknamed the Devil's Triangle, the Bermuda Triangle became infamous after the disappearance of Flight 19. A squadron of U.S. Navy bombers had vanished during a routine drill in 1945. Since then, the Bermuda Triangle has achieved legendary status as a high strangeness window, a location where ships and airplanes disappear, UFOs are encountered, and perhaps even the sunken continent of Atlantis rests deep beneath the ocean waves. Have you heard that theory before, Greg?
You know, which one? I've heard all of those theories before.
That
except
Atlantis
one.
is under the Bermuda Triangle and there's a giant magnet, powerful magnet that's pulling the ships down.
Didn't they just find Atlantis this week?
What?
Yeah.
Scooping us on BCC News.
Yeah, Atlantis got found this week.
Okay, Riley, quick googs. Was Atlantis found this week, please?
It
This is
truly
really great.
If
Google.
that's happening,
Did
then
they
we've
find
really
Atlantis?
blown
Yeah. Greg
Google?
has scoops Atlantis. I think Atlantis got found this week.
No
This-
definitive proof of Atlantis has been found, says Google's AI overview.
Okay.
well, you're
But-
using AI. What's
There
going to lie
go.
to you?
Problem.
Let's go straight to the truth.
No,
here.
there was something on Reddit that was like, Atlantis found this week, definitive proof. And I didn't even click on it, but I came onto the podcast
don't
to
need
tell
to.
you that
That's how jaded
it got
we've
found.
become. Whatever. Well, if you want to hear more about the Bermuda Triangle, you can check out BCC episode 204, where we talk about Flight 19's disappearance. But what if I told you, Greg, that another mysterious triangle exists along the northeastern coast of the U.S., in the state of Massachusetts, the land where those pilgrims that you talked about first set foot upon Plymouth Rock?
The Harvard Triangle.
Close. This triangle isn't over the ocean, but spans a 200-mile region of the land in southeastern Massachusetts. It's anchored by the towns of Abington at the northern tip, Rehoboth in the southwestern angle, and Freetown at the southeastern angle. Within this area, you'll find forests, swamps, and fields teeming with high strangeness. Cryptozoologist Loren Coleman coined the term in his book Mysterious America back in 1983. The same book that introduced us to phantom clowns, which is a truly nightmarish phenomenon that I'd rather not revisit. Loren Coleman called this place a window to another reality. The Bridgewater Triangle comes from 3 towns within or near the triangle. Now, I have to rewind here a second because I forgot to say this place is a window to another reality. The Bridgewater Triangle.
He really did kind of just
I skipped right over it.
skip right over that part. Yeah.
I'm
That's where I
still
go,
seeing like
"Bah, bah."
trucks passing me and
Oh my
honking at
God.
me.
Yeah,
Like men
the
that look like
Bridgewater Triangle.
Two-Face being mad at me.
glaring down.
Hide the body in the Bridgewater Triangle.
Yes, sir, Mr. Kennedy. The Bridgewater of the Bridgewater Triangle comes from 3 towns within or near the triangle: Bridgewater, East Bridgewater, and West Bridgewater, which also form a triangle. This entire area of Massachusetts is rich in history, and much of it is violent. At the center of the triangle lies Hockomock Swamp, a 17,000-acre wetland that served as a major battleground during King Philip's War, which occurred from 1675 to 1678. King Philip was not a European monarch, but rather a nickname given to Chief Metacomet of the Wampanoag, who adopted Philip as his English name. Metacomet led an uprising against the colonizers, resulting in a brutal armed conflict that ended with his death, thousands of indigenous lives lost, 500 dead English soldiers, and the further enslavement and destruction of the indigenous people of Massachusetts. Hockomock was one of Metacomet's home bases, where he was shot to death. He was decapitated, and his severed head was impaled on a spike for well over a year. Perhaps this violent and tragic history explains the numerous reports of paranormal activity in the swamplands. Within the groves and marshes of Hockomock, tales of ghosts, mysterious lights, and strange beasts are abound. In fact, the name Hockomock in the Algonquin language translates to the place where spirits dwell, suggesting that this area has always been a liminal space. Everything from thunderbirds to hairy hominids and giant animals has been reported. In 1939, construction workers claimed to have seen a massive snake as large, round, and as black as a stovepipe on their site. It reared its head and slithered off into the swamps. Little did they know, a fabled black snake was said to visit that area every 7 years. During a wave of livestock mutilations in 1972, people reported seeing giant phantom cats, some the size of lions and panthers. In some cases, police investigating the mutilations discovered what appeared to be giant claw marks left behind. A creature known as the Mansfield Mystery Cat, a large, tan, mountain lion-like big cat, was making rounds in Mansfield and Easton in March of 1993. Both yellow-colored big cats and black panther-like cats have been spotted. In 1976, reports emerged of a giant black hellhound killing ponies in Abington. Not the ponies, hellhound. I love a hellhound story.
Wait. Again. Yes. Southern. We're in Massachusetts. We need
That
the.
That was just me.
Oh God!
You can say it. Not the hell.
The hellhound. He's got the ponies.
A firefighter named Philip Kane claimed to have seen the giant hound and fired at it after he discovered it tearing flesh from a pony's neck.
Why does a firefighter have a gun? That's part of the problem.
He was at home and he had his own gun, and he was like, he heard the ponies freaking out and he saw this thing on the road, shot at it, and it ran off, and it looked at him.
I'm gonna shoot those ponies.
Yeah, he was aiming for the ponies. And a local police officer, Frank Kern, spotted the creature running along some railroad tracks. And that was the last known sighting of the phantom dog, but for weeks, it terrorized the area. In 1971, a police sergeant named Thomas Downey was driving through Mansfield when he encountered a colossal winged creature. Downey described it as a 6-foot-long bird with a wingspan of 12 feet that rose from the ground, buzzed his car, and then flew over the trees into the swamp. Oddly enough, the area where he encountered this flying phenomenon was known as Bird Hill. Is that better?
Bird Hill. Don't go down to Bird Hill.
You'll see a big bird, you will.
just to recap, so we have giant birds, giant dogs, giant cats,
snakes,
giant snake.
Yep.
Oh, this is just a place where there's, this can all be explained for like some kind of special nutrient is growing out of the ground, and all the animals are feasting on it, and it just makes big ass. Yeah, it's probably like Monsanto or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say some radioactive, byproduct is animals of unusual size.
It's the ooze.
This is TMNT. You know what I mean? There's like
rhinos running around. Those turtles got into the ooze.
There's a big rat down there. He's teaching these turtles. I don't know how to do it. It's bad.
I can only do it, and then it turns into something else. I can do like 3 lines at a time before
You have to do Mayor Quimby, and then you can get into it. The crown jewel of the Bridgewater Triangle is a literal landmark originally found in the river and eventually put on display for preservation. This curiosity is known as Dighton Rock. It's a large stone that dates back centuries, etched with strange figures and mysterious glyphs. Reverend Cotton Mather wrote about it in his book, The Wonderful Works of God Commemorated. He was like one of those OG Puritan pilgrims. Among the other curiosities of New England, one is that of a mighty rock, on a perpendicular side whereof by a river, which at high tide covers a part of it, there are very deeply engraved, no man alive knows how or when, about 60 lines, near 10 foot long and 1.5 foot broad. He was very infatuated with the measurements, filled with strange characters, which would suggest, as our thoughts about them that were here before us, as there are odd shapes in that elaborate monument. So it's just a bunch of weird carvings and strange creatures and petroglyphs that nobody understands in this big rock.
Oh my God.
No one knows the origins of the petroglyphs, who carved it, or why. Theories are put forth that it was made by the ancient Phoenicians, or the Portuguese, or Norse explorers, or perhaps by unknown indigenous people. It does not seem to possess any otherworldly capabilities, but it acts as an odd signifier of this strange and mysterious place. Kind of like the Croatoan carving, you know? You're like, how did this get here and who wrote it?
Yeah, people be carving stuff back then on trees and rocks when they were about to get snatched.
What else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, they're coming for me. I better etch this long, weird message into this rock.
Yeah. Who's got my chisel?
Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Bigfoot made its presence known in the Bridgewater Triangle. Sightings began in 1970 with reports of a mysterious bear-like creature roaming backyards and farms. While bears were uncommon in the area, they weren't entirely out of the question, prompting local law enforcement to set up hunting parties to track down the troublesome ursid. However, no bear was ever found. There wasn't a bear there. And by April, reports of a hairy bipedal creature killing livestock began to circle around Bridgewater. One local law officer claimed that one night his park squad car was lifted up from the rear. When the startled policeman looked over his shoulder to see what was tugging at his bumper, the car slammed to the ground as a giant hairy bear on two legs ran off into the night. On April 8th, tracks were found by other officers, but the elusive barefoot bear creature was never located. Thoughts?
Bear or Bigfoot?
Bear or Bigfoot? Bear or Bigfoot?
Bear or Bigfoot?
Bear or Bigfoot. That sounds like a bear that's lifted. Actually, although up there, nah, there's no bears that can
Running
lift
away
up
on
a car.
2 legs?
Yeah, well, circus bear. That was an escape
Wicked awesome
circus bear.
circus
Yeah,
bear.
fucking wicked awesome circus bear.
All right. In the next little section, Greg, you're going to have a chance to play a character here. So I hope you've warmed up your accent now. One notable hairy hominid encounter, and this is probably my favorite from the research that I did, comes from a random man named William Russo, who, along with his dog, had an unforgettable experience in 1990. William was out walking his dog Samantha, a big Rottweiler German Shepherd mix, late one night after getting home from work around midnight. As Russo walked Sammy through a wooded area behind his house known as the Tees, owned by the power company, he entered a path lined with tall, high-tension wires. About a half mile into the walk, Russo came upon a road with a single streetlight, and Sammy suddenly froze, refusing to walk any further. Just as Russo tried to figure out what had spooked his 90-pound pup, he heard a high-pitched voice utter the phrase, "E12! E12! Care! Care!" A short, hairy bipedal creature walked into the pool of light. It had a large head, thin limbs, and a pot belly. Its eyes were enlarged, not huge, but bigger than a human's, and Russo sensed that it wasn't a juvenile, but rather quite old for whatever species it belonged to. "E12! E12!" the creature kept repeating. "Care! Care!" Russo said,
It got more insistent and started beckoning me. It wasn't threatening me, but what was weird was that it wasn't advancing toward me. It wanted to get me into it wanted to get me in its space.
Actually, I've seen this guy on video, and you sound closer to him than...
Okay.
You kind of nailed it.
Nice.
Scared, Russo and Samantha walked briskly home. Once safely inside his house, William Russo stayed awake into the early hours of the morning, pondering what he had just seen in the path behind his house. Could "E12" mean "we want you"? Was the creature speaking English? Yeah, could be interpreted as "Come
Kia
here,
summer sales event?
come here."
Yeah, I was like, this guy's trying to sell a used Kia. That's what's going on here.
Perhaps Russo had encountered one of the Fae. Smaller, reddish-haired ape-like creatures have been spotted in other areas around the Bridgewater Triangle, including the Littlefoot creature seen on an island near Lake Nipponicket, locally known as the
Lake Nipples. Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
The
Nice.
Nip.
You jump in it, you'll know. Your nipples were turned to diamonds.
Residents have reported hearing monkey-like calls coming from the islands on the lake. One anonymous witness told Lauren Coleman that he and his party actually saw a group of small orangutan-like beings on the island watching their boat from the tree line. Lake Nipponicket is known for strange activity, including phantom fires and mysterious lights. Spook lights are well documented and often spotted by folks living near the Raynham dog tracks, most commonly seen along an abandoned set of railroad tracks. Mystery lights, orbs, and will-o'-the-wisps are associated with the Fae, and the Bridgewater Triangle has its own fairy creature that traces back to stories from indigenous peoples known as pukwudgies. Pukwudgies resemble small gnomes or goblins and can transform into glowing orbs of light, leading you through the forest, or perhaps leading you off a cliff to your doom, depending on their mood. Maybe what Russo saw was what the Wampanoag knew as a pukwudgie.
Pukwudgie is an excellent word for what that is. That just sounds like that little guy. That little guy's a little pukwudgie.
He's a little pukwudgie. He's a
It's
little.
just one of those words, you know, where it's just.
He's a little pukwudgie.
These
Gotta
little
look out
fucking
for him.
pukwudgies.
That pukwudgie came back last night trying to sell another car.
One of them wants to date my daughter. I won't let him.
Weird lights are also commonly associated with UFOs, and the Bridgewater Triangle has no shortage of close encounters. In 1908, two undertakers were riding in their carriage on Halloween night in Bridgewater when they looked up to see a bright lantern flying overhead. One of the better-known UFO reports occurred on March 23, 1979. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that March 23rd is a date that frequently came up during the Hudson Valley Black Triangle UFO flap that occurred just a couple years later. We talked about that over on the other side, if I recall.
Right.
Year after year, they kept seeing this big black triangular craft with multicolored lights in the Hudson Valley, and it would always come around March 23rd for like 3 or 4 years in a row. At any rate, on this particular March 23rd, Boston radio newsman Jerry Lopes and Steve Sabracia were at the junction of Routes 24 and 106, pretty much smack dab in the middle of the Bridgewater Triangle. They were driving along when they noticed a huge light growing brighter and getting closer behind the nearby tree line. The light rose, and the two men could make out a black craft shaped like a baseball home plate, complete with a large single headlight or beam on the nose. They pulled over and watched a silent black craft fly low overhead. Sabracia claimed that he was so close that he felt that he could pick up a rock and throw it at it. They also noticed a long, sparking cord hanging from the base of the craft. Sabracia, an Air Force veteran, turned to Lopes and said, "Jerry, that's not one of ours." A few days later, more reports emerged from the Randolph area, all describing the same home plate-shaped UFO. One of those witnesses was a man named Ron Baker, who at the time worked at a steakhouse in Southeaston. Around 8:30 in the evening, Baker stepped out into the parking lot and looked up to see a dark, wedge, triangular-shaped craft flying slowly overhead. He estimated it was about 300 feet in the air and the size of 2 football fields. As it passed over him, it emitted a low hum. These stories are just a glimpse into the strange activity occurring in the area known as the Bridgewater Triangle. But even if one of these tales is true, it's safe to say that this area in Massachusetts, much like the Uinta Basin of Utah or the Borrego Triangle in Southern California, or perhaps even the Bermuda Triangle, could be a gateway to another realm and the perfect destination for a big strange vacation. Okay, Greg. What do you say to that? Kia! A limited time offer!
Extended warranty.
What do you think, Greg? What the hell is going on in the Bridgewater Triangle?
Bridgewater Triangle, a lot of weird stuff is going on over there. I think we got some ooze dripping out, causing big animals to get bigger. And we got some fucking, we got some, what were the Moji Woodies?
The puck wedgies. The Moji Woodies.
And those little fellas are running around causing all sorts of mischief.
They're spreading that ooze all over this triangle.
Why always a triangle? Why was it never trapezoid? Feels like, although, I gotta say, I feel like there are some arresting images in that one, but I feel like there's, some cryptids, some possible aliens, some, it kind of feels like, again, back to the poo-poo platter. Let's pick one, guys.
That's what the triangle's for.
That's what the triangle's for.
It's when you want all the apps.
It's a triangular shaped platter serving you up everything. Well, that's why they call it a window area, because it's a mix and a match of all sorts of weird stuff. There's also, I didn't really go into it in the story, but just like countless, just like Gettysburg or what was the battlefield that you grew up near that you camped on?
Oh, like so many Haymarket and
right. That people see like ghosts from of like indigenous people and soldiers that fought in King Philip's War, and they see all sorts of shit going on ghost wise in the swamps and the woods around there. But I don't know. It's a great spooky location. I agree. There's a lot going on, but I also feel like if we zoom out, we can kind of say like there's weird stories going on everywhere, but maybe this is just a highly condensed place. Who knows? Maybe
not as weird as the Bone Nest. Or wait, what was right?
The Killing Nest?
The Killing
Bone
Nest.
Chapel?
The Bone Chapel. The Bone Chapel.
Not as weird as what you're going to find in y'all's dorm rooms. Ain't that right, y'all? Come down.
There he is. Straight down from Maine.
Michigan?
Let's go down. Yeah. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, motherfucker. Greg, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, fellas.
I'd love for you to tell us when, where can we find your new podcast? Where can we find Megan? Where can we find you?
Yeah, please go check out the new stuff. Of course, Mega, the podcast, which Michael has kindly been on. So hilarious.
Thank you.
It's an improvised satire from a fictional mega church. So we've had a lot of fun folks on there. Go check out Mega, and then check out this new show, Like Minds. You can follow us, Like Minds Trivia, on Instagram, and it's going to be on all the pod things, Like Minds. So go check it out.
Check it out. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for being here, Greg. We appreciate it.
Thanks, fellas. You're the best.
You're the best.
As I always say, Kia Kia.
Kia. Kia. Kia. Kia. Kia. Kia.
Krakatoa.
Croatoan.
Yeah. All those things. See you guys.
Oh boy, Greg. I just love Greg.
He's great, man.
Seriously, he has met some of the most I'm not kidding. I don't want to like name check anybody or name drop anybody, but he's met some of the most fascinating people in the world, and or types of people. Yeah. And I always have we'll be out walking dogs or I'll run into him, and he and Holly always have like an interesting story about somebody that they've recently talked to. And I'm like, I need to get out of my apartment. What's happening?
Just go outside. But yeah, he's one of those people that can just kind of like get himself in any room, just sort of like strike up a conversation. Next thing you know, you're at a particle collider.
Oh my God.
That is so cool.
That's really cool. I know.
Cool. Yeah.
We gotta be invited to CERN. We gotta wait for those CERN physicists to want to learn how to podcast or something, talk about the paranormal.
Man, they got time down there, smashing all those particles.
Maybe we'll just do a live show from the CERN. From CERN.
Now there's an empty promise we can't keep.
Yeah. All right, Riley, it's time to thank some of the Club Scouts who recently joined us over at BCC The Other Side. It's time for some Club Scout shout-outs.
Ow!
Graham Saunders.
Thank you.
Andy Candy. Cosmeteer.
Thanks, Andy Candy. Welcome.
Adam Smith.
Thanks, Adam.
Travis Lee. Cosmeteer.
Thank you, Travis Lee. Welcome.
Sarah Crease.
Thanks, Sarah.
Michael Rydzinski's back.
Oh,
hey, Michael.
Hey, Michael. What's up, bro?
Superhero Effie Scarlet Man.
Thanks, superhero.
Jason Fitchko, Cosmeteer.
Oh, thank you, Jason. Welcome.
Nikki Rotunda's back. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Nikki. Welcome back. Hi.
Noah Vassar, Cosmeteer.
Noah, what up? Thank you and welcome.
Love having you, everybody. You can
Also,
come.
Graham Saunders, I didn't say your name, so thanks, Graham Saunders. Extra
Thank you, Graham.
'Cause I didn't say your
and
name.
because you're named after my very favorite cracker. Thank you, Graham. Come join us over at BCC The Other Side at patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub. You've got 3 bonus episodes every month, ad-free eps, and exclusive video episodes, and music from the polyrhythmic paladin himself, Riley Bray. Time for Collector's Corner. Before we leave, we like to share about things we're watching, that we're reading, that we're collecting, anything that we've done, anything fun, anything that you want to plug. Do you have any shows coming up, Riley? What do you got for us this week?
Let's see. Well, if you're in LA, we are Pussy Riot Siberia is performing at the Geffen space of the Museum of Contemporary Art, the MoCA, on the 15th, which is a Sunday afternoon.
Oh shit! So
which is right after this drops.
So if you're listening to this the Wednesday it drops and you're near LA,
come on down to the Geffen Contemporary of the MoCA, and we are playing as part of an installation that Nadia has cooked up for the museum there.
Dude, that's awesome.
It's really cool. And I probably should have mentioned this sooner so you had time to go see her installation, but it is amazing. It's this recreation of her cell wherein she's sitting for like 9-hour durations each day.
No way.
In the museum and making music with this sort of ambient nightmare machine that I helped her work out. And it's aesthetic and it's powerful and it hits and it's cool. And then the final kind of to cap it up, the band is going to play a set at the end of the whole thing.
That
it's
is
gonna be
so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's exciting to get to work on something in a like very legitimate museum.
Yeah, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's really it's an honor to be a part of it. It's
Riley, you're
cool.
becoming a literal work of art.
I'm working. Well, life is a work of art, isn't it? And what better joy than to work with great artists? And I really enjoy the work. It's really cool. So yeah, if you're around, come on down and check it out. And then as far as watching, I watched just recently, Strange Days. You ever seen that?
I never saw that. Is that a Catherine Bigelow movie? Did Catherine Bigelow direct it? I think she did. I think it was her. I think she made it after Point Break, maybe.
It feels like that.
Yeah, I think it was her follow-up.
Yep,
to
it
Point
is.
Break.
It is. It fully is. Man, that movie holds up. It's gnarly. It's intense. It's like Los Angeles and the brink of chaos, and I don't know.
It got like kind of bad reviews at the time, and I didn't go see it. But I think it's one of those movies that over time people appreciate more. Like it was underappreciated. That like people didn't get it at the time, but I think it's aged well.
It's like a cyberpunk neo noir. It's
Fun.
It's fucking badass.
Some William
and it's dark.
Gibson
It's
stuff.
it's very dark.
Maybe that's why.
But also aesthetically, it's super cool. Like this very like punk, like end of the world vibe. It's really nice. Good movie. I
Awesome.
Enjoyed it.
You were talking about making music, and there was a little tidbit from the Stonehenge episode last week that I made note of and forgot to mention that I was like, oh fuck, I forgot. Riley would love this. So do you remember the blue stones from Wales from the Preseli Hills?
Sure.
Well, some scientists believe and some people think that they have a unique acoustic property.
Cool.
And that they think that maybe the way they had set up the stones, they had some sort of acoustic or musical or like purpose. So I don't know. I just thought that was cool. They have some weird sonic properties.
That is cool.
That would be really rad. So
I've seen stuff of people doing like Paleolithic instruments of like rubbing and striking different stones.
Yeah, they think they might have like drummed on the stones or made sounds with it. I don't know, but
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't? I mean, what else are you gonna do back then?
Yeah,
Hit a rock. Let me see. What did I'm trying to think. I didn't have any. I had stuff loaded up last week, ready to go. I saw Mission Impossible.
Oh,
Final Reckoning. It is, I have to say, a wild movie. It jumps firmly into the realm of like it's full on like sci-fi.
Oh.
And it's very strange. I'd say the first hour is you're kind of like, what is going on here? But I have to tell you, there are two. It lands. They really land it well.
Cool.
And there are two scenes, extended action sequences in this movie. That's the problem with the first hour too. There's not a lot of action. It's a real slow takeoff. And you're kind of like, oh no, is this movie going to be bad? And then there's these like two scenes that I literally, I want you to watch it so we can talk. Like,
Oh, I'm going to. That's like one of those movies that gets you to the theater.
I do not fucking know how they shot these scenes. I have no idea how they did some of this stuff. They're incredibly composed, incredible set pieces. So like, I ended up really, really loving it. And I'm like, I'm going to remember these two scenes for forever.
Cool.
And I would suggest, we didn't because of the time that we had to go, but if you can, I really wish I'd seen it in IMAX. I know it was sort of filmed. It was filmed. I think all of it was filmed on IMAX, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And for the scenes that I'm talking about, you're like, oh man, this would have been incredible to see in IMAX. I might go back just to watch it on an IMAX screen. So
great.
You know, it's a weird, I have to tell you, it is a weird movie. There's some weird choices in it. It's not as good as some of the other ones, but it's worth it for the final hour and a half alone. You're just like, done. I'm here. This is great.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's just like big filmmaking in a big theater is like, I do love those things. That's like
great.
Hollywood. It's beautiful. It's the dream of the whole thing.
It's so weirdly sci-fi though. It's like gets very, you're like, this is kind of stepping out of its genre a little bit, but whatever, it's fine. Okay, all right. Well, we're gonna be over hanging out on the other side. If you don't see us over there having some big strange vacation fun, if you can't join us, we'll see you maybe on our YouTube channel, or we'll see you back here next Wednesday. So until then, good night.
Go get regressed.
Here. He want you. He want you. Financing. He want you. Bad or no credit. Okay.
Just selling them a Kia.
Yeah.
Bigfoot Collectors Club is produced and engineered by Riley Bray and executive produced by Riley Bray and Michael McMillan. Our theme song, Come Alone, is by Suneaters, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. Follow Suneaters on Spotify. For 3 bonus episodes every month and ad-free episodes, check out BCC The Other Side at patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub.